Liverpool's hunt for the quadruple rumbles on as they ease past Cardiff City 3-1 to enter the fifth round of the FA Cup, thanks to goals from Diogo Jota, Takumi Minamino, and a wonder strike from returning wonder kid Harvey Elliott. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Debrief Live on the Blood Red channel with me, Patrick Smith, and I'm pleased to be in the company once again of Matt Addison. Matt, how are you doing?
Yeah, really good, mate. I was just saying it was incredibly windy at Anfield. I've just about defrosted my hands, but yeah, it was not the best first half, but certainly a very enjoyable second half.
Hopefully you defrost some more as we go on with this, but we've got to start, haven't we, with the man of the moment. We'll move on to Luis Diaz, but Harvey Elliott, wow, he is back, isn't he?
Yeah, it was a brilliant goal, wasn't it? A brilliant moment, and I thought his entire performance really was quite impressive. I think he looked really sharp. Obviously, he's only just come back. I think it's 147 days since he got the injury, so it's far sooner than any of us thought he probably would be back. But even so, after a kind of layoff of so many months, you kind of think it would take a little bit longer to get back into the swing of things. Obviously, we saw him during the behind closed doors friendly during the international break. Look pretty good from what we've seen of that, but you never quite know how it's going to sort of come into play when it's a proper match, a competitive game. And obviously Cardiff, with very much a lot to play for, and obviously a decent team as well in the Championship. So yeah, completely 100% positive. I think it's fair to say for Liverpool's second half, but the actual goal itself was absolutely brilliant. I know there's a few videos going around of his dad celebrating in the stands. There's certain sort of things that he said as well, which I'm sure you can read on our website and all of that kind of thing. It's a really special moment, I think, for him. But it was a special goal, and the first, I'm sure, of many.
Yeah, it's so special. And how important is it going to be to have him back now? Especially with the run-in for the end of the season.
Yeah, huge, isn't it? I mean, it's the first time in a long time, maybe the first time ever under Klopp. I don't know, that Liverpool seemingly have got everyone fit and everyone is there. It's great to have so many options, isn't it? I think he gives Liverpool's midfield certainly something different, something extra. It's not going to be a case of playing him from the start in every game just because there's so many of those options to choose from. But I think obviously, goals and assists are important from midfield. He offers the other side of the game as well. I think it's just great to have a number of options that you can turn to. And even if he doesn't start as he did today, he can come off the bench and make a real impact. So, yeah, I think across the entirety of the Liverpool midfield now, with everyone fit, as long as that remains the case, hopefully that is the case for the foreseeable future. They've kind of got everything that they need. They've got that blend of creativity, of Fabinho's strength and steel at the back. You've got the energy of someone like a Henderson or a Keita or someone like that. And it's just a perfect mixture. The only issue so far has been that not all of them have been fit at the same time. But for now, at least, that is the case. And Harvey Elliott very much is one of those players that will take a big part, I think, in the rest of this season.
Well, definitely now that everyone's fit, it's such an unusual situation to be in as a Liverpool fan, actually having a selection headache. A very nice position to be in, though. But we're going to move on as well. Speaking of selection headaches, Luis Diaz now being introduced to the Liverpool front three. Another attacking headache for Jurgen Klopp in another position, albeit. How good was his debut today?
Yeah, I thought he was really good, actually. I was slightly concerned when he went down. It looked like the injury that he got could have been a serious one.
Look at your fingers.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it was one of those where I think the defender landed on him, and it could have maybe been worse than what it was, but thankfully he gets away with it. But yeah, the Minamino goal, I mean, it's his work, isn't it? It's his assist that sets it up, which is great. It was a lovely bit of skill. But I think the biggest thing that I took away from the game, to be honest, was just kind of how electric he was. He was just so fast. He can change direction so quickly. It was just a real injection of pace into the front line. And obviously Liverpool have got Salah and they've got Sadio Mane as well on that side, but he just seemed to be on a different level in terms of the speed and the ability to go one direction and then change. It was really good to see him. He was obviously enjoying it, and obviously there are bigger challenges to come than Cardiff over the next few weeks. But I think, for his first introduction to sort of life as a Liverpool player, I think it was really quite promising. And it was interesting that he didn't quite sort of do what I expected him to do and what we've kind of seen from him at Porto in terms of being really wide on the left. He kind of was popping up all over the place. He sort of played kind of as a number 9 for a little bit. He kind of went over to the right for a little bit, and it was never anything sort of concrete as a kind of positional change, but it was, a sort of freedom that he'd obviously been given, that he didn't have to stick out on the left. He didn't have to hug the touchline. He could come inside and play in a couple of different roles, which is probably not something that, we've seen too often. I think that's an interesting element of it. Obviously, it's the caveat that it is Cardiff. It's maybe, slightly more freedom in those kind of games than in certain other ones in the next few weeks. But yeah, I think it was really exciting. Like I say, pace, trickery, assists, goals, that's what we expect from him. And the early signs, I think, were really promising.
I mean, it's well documented. We've been making loads of content, articles and videos about how tenacious he is, how fast he is. But that ability he's got to change direction without losing any speed. And, all this talk of he's a young cup player. Well, it showed it today. He was chasing down every defender. Absolutely frightening if you were on the ball at the back, as the poor Cardiff right back found out. But we'll give Cardiff a bit of credit. They were decent today, Matt, weren't they? They did put up a very good display, especially in the first half. It was very tricky for Liverpool, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did what you'd expect them to do, really, which is sit in and dig deep and try not to give Liverpool any spaces. And Liverpool didn't particularly play well, I don't think. I think, obviously, Cardiff played their part in making sure that was the case. But I think Liverpool could have moved the ball a little bit quicker. I know Cardiff have got a couple of injuries that are maybe not in the perfect situation for themselves at the moment in terms of coming into this game. There was that Diogo Jota chance that the goalkeeper made a save from that, again, probably should have scored from that. So I think Cardiff did okay. They were fine, but it was pretty much what we expected from them, to be honest. It was more a case of whenever Liverpool showed a bit more signs of being a bit more creative and moving the ball a bit quicker, they did try and find those gaps. And, even at half-time, I think a few people were quite frustrated that Liverpool hadn't managed to find that way through. But then, the second half was completely different. They could have had one or two more goals, maybe should have done. And I think, yeah, it's one of those games where I can understand the frustration, but at the same time, they've got the job done. They've won the game, they're through, and that's ultimately all that matters. So, yeah, plenty more to come. Obviously, the injection of quality and options from the bench helped as well. I think it certainly helped liven up the crowd when they see Luis Diaz is warming up or Thiago's coming on or whatever it might be. So, yeah, I think it was a first half that you kind of expect when it's a 12 o'clock kickoff, but certainly Liverpool much better in that second half.
Matt, being a qualified referee as well, I need to get your point of view on their penalty shout. Cardiff manager Steve Morrison has come out and said if it was outside the box, it would have been a free kick. So he's pretty clear on his view. What's your view on the penalty shout that Cardiff had?
To be honest, just remind me what was the penalty shout? I can't even think what it was now. But
Canate sort of bundled into the back. I can't remember which player it was for Cardiff, but
of course,
he just kind of silently bundled into the back of him, and it looked a bit suspicious on the replay. I'm not going to lie myself.
Yeah, no. I've only seen it the once, obviously inside the stadium, but no, the fact that I couldn't even remember it probably tells you what my opinion was of it. Yeah. I think the one that they could maybe have pushed. I know that the players on the pitch again. The manager said it wasn't afterwards. Was the possible red card for Kelleher when he makes that mistake and comes out then? But again, Canate was there, wasn't he? Would have been able to get around and make a block. So yeah, I think a yellow card was right. And I think Cardiff, their manager, said that afterwards in the press conference as well. So, yeah, I think, even if one of those two things had gone a different way, you'd still fancy Liverpool would have probably got the job done anyway. So, yeah, nothing too controversial, I don't think.
Do you think they'll be frustrated to throw away the clean sheet at the end? A very well taken goal from young Colwell for Cardiff, but I'm pretty sure Liverpool will be pretty disappointed not to be going home with a clean sheet after that one, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm sure Kelleher and his centre-backs would have wanted to have kept a clean sheet, but ultimately it doesn't particularly matter. It's one of those. Liverpool were fairly comfortable in the game. Cardiff have got their moment. The fans celebrated it as if they'd won the game, so fair play to them. Enjoy that moment. And I think for Liverpool, the only thing they had to do today was make sure they got through, and I don't think it'll be something that they're too concerned about. It wasn't like it was a mistake. Okay, the Cardiff player drives through the midfield slightly too easily, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. And yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that, to be honest.
Well, of course, Luis Diaz and Harvey Elliott are going to take the headlines, but Diogo Jota had another unbelievable performance, Matt, didn't he? And a goal for his name as well.
Yeah, I thought he was good, actually. He should have scored, as I mentioned earlier, in the first half, but obviously gets the goal in the second. Again, another typical Diogo Jota goal, isn't it? A cross and a header. So, yeah, it was a good performance from him. He showed a lot. And I think I think we're going to see a few good performances. I thought Roberto Firmino was good as well, but I think that's the impact of Luis Diaz, isn't it? You bring another player who can come into that team and really, take those other players to the next level, obviously, as well, because they have to perform. And I think that was something I was looking out for today, really, was obviously with everyone fit, with a full squad to choose from, the competition really for places over the next few weeks is going to be absolutely huge. So it was a case of who really could stand out and stake a claim and put their name on the team sheet really for Thursday. And I think Diogo Jota would have been there anyway, but I think he certainly did that, took the goal well, lots of good pressing, lots of good moments from him as well within the game. So yeah, you always expect more from him, and he's obviously one of Liverpool's better players. But I'm sure in the back of his mind, he's thinking there's a new 49 million pound player who can play in a couple of the positions that he can, and I think it will just help everyone and give everyone that little boost really to put in the extra 10% and make sure that it's them who are in the team next week.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. It's a very nice position for us to be in with these players fighting for places. But Matt, that is all we have time for today. Thank you very much for joining me, and thanks to all of you for watching along at home. Liverpool will now face Norwich in the 5th round of the FA Cup in the hunt for the quadruple. But up next, the attention returns to chasing down Man City in the Premier League when the Reds take on Leicester on Thursday. So until then, it's goodbye for now.